just to check. Let's say you're not proof of link. That's cool. Go live. It's all right. Remove. So changes. I think we're on.
Cool.
We're live. Okay, let me just share this post. All right, and we'll just give it a bit of time for people to come in.
Yeah.
We've got 4 viewers already, 6 viewers. So I'll just share this. Just want to share this post if it'll let me. What's up, everyone? I'll share this into my personal page. All right. How's your day been?
It's been pretty hectic here. It's pretty insane, really. You know, it's super exciting, the number of spaces and things like that we're pushing out, the calls that are coming through. You know, we've got the vaccine clinic running next door. So, you know, just the stream of people and the high-risk folk that are getting their flu vaccines right now is just so critical. If we can get them out of the system early, then it gives us so much more of a chance to get ahead of the game.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've got over 20 viewers now, so we might start. I've got 4 kids just going mad.
You're just frozen.
Have I just frozen, have I? Are we there? Are we there? So I'm joined with Katheren, who's the...
What's just happened, Dave?
CEO.
There we go. We're back.
We're back. So Katheren's the CEO of Asthma New Zealand, and we've got a few questions already. So if anyone has any questions as we're going, just post them and then we'll answer them at the end. We're not going to be here too long because I know people, their attention spans with all the kids running around and also the news coming on. So we'll start. Katheren, just want to introduce yourself just briefly about what you're doing with Asthma New Zealand, please.
Yeah, cool. So Asthma New Zealand, basically, we have respiratory nurses that basically go to people's homes outside of COVID-19. And so right now with COVID coming in, all of our nurses are working from home, phoning up all of our asthma and respiratory patients, checking in, getting that education underway to make sure that everybody's set up so that they can manage their asthma coming into a really high-risk season. And so we've been, we've been phoning furiously ever since, the COVID, I guess probably level 2 came in. All our nurses went home. So, it's just really, really important to get everybody in and starting to self-manage now.
Yeah, so just for people that might be tuning in that don't really know what asthma is, can you just explain that?
Yeah, so asthma basically is a respiratory condition whereby we breathe in and down into our lungs a number of tubes, right? To not use any technical terms. Whatever we breathe in, it may cause an irritation to what we call smooth muscle around the airways. And that then starts to tighten, it starts to constrict. And from there, what tends to happen is individuals don't have so much trouble breathing in. It's about breathing out that they have the trouble in, because the airways constrict and there's a mucus lining that forms. And so it's a big restriction. And it really feels like, and not that I've had this occur, but it feels like you've got an elephant sitting on your chest. You know, so you do get really heavy, really tight chested. And, for anybody that's ever had an asthma attack, it's incredibly scary, you know?
And so I guess if you add to that, if you're obese and you've got a lot of weight already on your chest, it makes it even worse, yeah?
Yeah, look, it adds a whole new complication, absolutely. And it's not just about the chest, it's also about how the diaphragm can move, how the whole airway, the respiratory system can move. And, it's such a complicated process. So weight certainly doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, I mean, you came out to our HQ that day when we met, and we got along well, and you jumped in on a class, on our From the Couch class, and, there's been a lot of health professionals that have come and visited us, and all the ones that we've ended up working with have joined in on a session. So yeah, we're very happy today. But one thing you talked about was breathing in through your nose, the importance of that, and the reasons behind it. Because a lot of times when we're tired and we're just gasping for air, we just. So what's the importance of breathing through the nose?
Yeah, look, hey, look, first of all, when you are, at a high level of, exhaustion, just get air in without a doubt. But ultimately, we talk about breathing in through the nose, and there's a number of reasons for that. When we breathe in through the mouth, basically, the air is going straight down into the airway. It's not filtered. Whereas when we breathe up and through the nose, there's a whole lot of fine hairs, for the want of a better word, that clean the air. It warms it, it adjusts the temperature so that when it goes down into the lungs, it's ready to be utilized immediately, as opposed to when we breathe through the mouth. And New Zealanders are really prominent for mouth breathing. We see young kids breathing through the mouth all the time, and that there's a whole host of issues, and we could go into jaw development issues, we could go into sleep apnea issues, we could branch off into a whole different conversation.
Man, it's, when you told me that, I used to get, I don't know if any of the guys out there can relate to this, but every now and then I go to the barbers, like maybe before a wedding, and I get the full shave and I get waxed all around here, and they said, "Oh, you want some wax up the nostrils?" I'm like, "Yep, no worries." And just pulled all my hair out. So now I know not to do that, right? It's no good.
Well, look, hey, look, there is a point, Dave. There is a point, all right. And I think, the hairs I'm talking about are probably just a little further up the nasal passage. So you're okay, all right.
Put that wax pretty far up there, Katheren. It definitely hurt. But anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking about sleep apnea, can you explain what is sleep apnea? So I used to have it. I never knew what it was. It wasn't until later on I understood it. My friend who I'm interviewing later, Dave Higgins, the boss of Duco, one time he slept at my house on this, well, not my house, my sleep out, the mattress that I was on the ground. He slept there, and he couldn't sleep because he was so worried I was going to die. I kept stopping breathing, like gasping for air. So do you want to explain what sleep apnea is?
Yeah, look, I'd love to explain, Dave, but I tell you what, I am so completely the wrong person to explain what sleep apnea is in terms of anything medical. My understanding of it is pretty slim. In saying that, though, with sleep apnea, what we understand is that, we literally do stop breathing.
Yeah.
And so it's the body's reaction, and that's what is a constant wake up. So we actually never fall into a deep sleep when we suffer from a sleep apnea. And there's certainly a number of things that can increase the issues with sleep apnea. Weight being definitely one of them. What a lot of people find is when they lose weight in terms of sleep apnea, it subsides. There certainly is. I've got a number of friends that have gone onto sleep apnea machines, and it has transformed their lives. They didn't realize how much of an impact it was having on their life, not just in terms of being physically tired, but their ability to think, their ability to actually process effectively.
Well, let me put my glasses back on and we go Dr. Bean. Now, the medical term for sleep apnea is you just it's like you're going to die. You're stopping breathing. I remember my mate, I woke up and his eyes were like this. He like that, looking at me, just thinking, "Are you okay? What's wrong with you?" I said, "I think I've got sleep apnea." But anyway, well, let's get into these questions. Thanks, babe. I'm just getting the thumbs up from the wife. Hey, so the first question.
It's important. That is so important, especially given that we've got 3 weeks left of lockdown, yeah?
Well, I'm very lucky we're not divorced yet, so things are going well. But, look, keep firing your questions in, guys, and we'll answer them at the end. But the first question I have here, which was people that have already sent them in, is what is the best form of exercise for anyone that suffers with asthma?
Look, I think certainly some form of cardiovascular exercise. It's always going to come down to what you're capable of. Increasing that heart rate. Our lungs are a muscle. And if a muscle isn't strong, you need to strengthen it.
Yeah.
And it always panics us when we see parents, letting their kids with asthma stop exercise. It's sort of, if a child's got weak legs, you get them to use them. If you don't use your lungs, you're not helping yourself. So fitness. Any form of fitness, walking, the workout that I did with you was awesome because it's elevating that breathing, hey, you had me breathing heavy, so there were a few press-ups I thought I'm not going to do this, so it's very cool. But it is about getting that heart rate up.
Yeah, I think it's important what you said there, how it's a muscle. And you've got to, I think, start slowly, right? Not try. You see a lot of people just going from sitting on the couch to trying to run a marathon. Just got to start slowly and strengthen your muscles, get bit by bit by bit, and then you can slowly start to increase it. But don't try and go too hard, too fast. All right, next question. Quite thirsty.
Just freezing up.
I can still see you, so we should still be all right. Okay, second question. What research?
To pick up on that, yeah, absolutely. I mean, so here, I've grown up in the fitness industry, so how many times I've seen people come in and they're full of motivation, and next minute, they're pounding out on a treadmill or on a stair climber for way further than what they should because they're all pumped. And then they end up so sore, it's so uncomfortable, and it's not a pleasant experience, and humans really don't take kindly to things that are unpleasant. We'll find alternative reasons for not doing it, so definitely starting at a pace that's sustainable. The other thing too is that we do need to work into it. The number of people that we've heard, they've stopped going to the gym because they thought they were unfit. They were never able to keep up with their mate, and then they went to the doctors, and it would have been through luck really that the doctor thought to do a test, a spirometry test, and then discover that they've got asthma. And that was the reason. And we've heard of people that have just stopped exercising altogether for 20 years, not realizing that they had asthma.
That's crazy. So the moral of that story is start slow, bit by bit by bit. Next question. It's got a lot of big words in it. I think my uncle sent me this one. What research data is there available on Pacifica and Moldy that help us to understand and appreciate the prevalence of asthma amongst our people, and what can you recommend we do to combat it? That was definitely from my uncle.
I'll thank him later. I think there is quite a lot of research data, obviously from a New Zealand perspective. The one thing that we do know, and this is no surprise to anybody, is that in terms of Māori, Pacific, and our low socioeconomic environments, our health system has completely failed that, sadly. I think though that the issue that we have for Māori and Pacific is more often than not living conditions. At best, 40% of our houses are safe for human habitation.
Wow. And you were saying
at worst, we've got people saying that 70% of our houses are unsafe.
Wow.
For human habitation, and so we look out, in terms of how Māori and Pacific live, they often share occupancy, there's and that whole the whole marae, or whale mentality is there now. The houses, if we've only got 40% of our housing that's safe for human habitation, the rest of us are living in houses, that aren't fit for us to be in. Now, we know that really strongly with Māori and Pacific. And so, it's the housing conditions that are exacerbating the problems. And, we've talked about this, in future sessions, we're going to do, a session solely on what our whānau can do coming into winter, because we're coming into the worst time. This is, and I'll talk about why this is the worst time. This is sort of like a perfect storm for us at the moment. But we're going to talk about what our whānau can do in their houses right now to improve just a fraction, even if we can just improve just a little bit to get through this winter. But look, we warrant our cars.
Yeah.
If our brakes were failing, the cars would be pulled off the road.
Yeah.
Our houses are failing and they don't get pulled out of the system. So this is a big problem.
So you're saying 40% of our homes are unhealthy to live in? Is that what you're saying?
It depends on who you talk to, Dave. I'm going to say, the optimistic claim at 40, the pessimistic claim at 70.
And so what are some of the
somewhere in there?
What's some of these issues? Like, what makes a house unhealthy to live in? Apart from the kids leaving a mess everywhere.
Yep. Yep. I think, certainly, the ventilation. Ventilation's great, but you don't want it to be natural. You have to be really, really careful around that. Insulation. How well are our houses insulated, and how are they insulated? There's no point in insulating if you're just trapping a whole lot of bad stuff in.
Wow.
And then how are they heated? And in New Zealand, we heat a room. And then once we leave that room, we turn the heater off, and then we don't heat consistently. So the house heats up and then it cools down. And if you think about what's happening, especially if you've got a whole lot of people in one room, they're breathing. Where's that air going? It turns into condensation. It forms on the walls, forms down, cools, turns into mold. And often you can't see it. So we've got mold is a massive problem, and it's one of the, it's a big trigger for asthma. My cousin's daughter is a severe asthmatic. They moved down to Christchurch, and the first house they moved into, she was in hospital literally 2 days after they moved into that house with a severe asthma attack. They moved out of that house literally in the weekend into a different house, and so that's how big an impact it can have on our health. Our nurses go into houses during winter, and during the day when the sun is on them, they're 9 degrees.
Wow.
How is a child supposed to sleep and stay healthy in that? Yet alone all of the other aspects to it. So, it is something that is one of the biggest issues for Māori and Pacific, but actually not just Māori and Pacific, it's across the board. The thing we know, Dave, is that asthma doesn't select by, ethnicity.
Yeah. Geez, that made me sad. That just sent a shiver down my spine when you put it that way. How's it, at 9 degrees with the sun on, imagine it at night, and how's a kid supposed to sleep and be warm and healthy in that?
Yeah. And then what we end up having is everybody sleeping in one room.
Yeah.
And so you think about, what they're doing is, they're not just trying to breathe in oxygen, they're breathing out carbon dioxide,
Yeah.
And so where's that going?
Yeah.
So now they're breathing in stale air. You think the kid turns up to school the next day, can't even stay awake. For why?
Yeah, it's so sad. It's just like you're saying, the system's just broken. And when you see some of these kids in the lower socioeconomic areas, the poor areas, sometimes, they can't even, never mind the start line, they can't even see the start line. They're starting from so far back that they can't even see the start line, But we'll get into that. We'll keep working with organizations like us.
We have to, Dave, because, we got 1 in 8 kids starting school that are undiagnosed with asthma. And by the end of their first year, they'll be 60% behind in numeracy and literacy. So how does that kid ever catch up?
That's just crazy.
So there are a lot of issues over and above.
When we get through this lockdown, we've got programs starting in schools. So I think we need to collaborate there. And bring you guys in around the education of it, because we're in a lot of these schools where with these areas, the poor areas, that's where we are. So I think it's needed. It's really needed. So the next question: should we step up preventative measures during this time, e.g., meds?
Oh, absolutely. This is why we're coming into a perfect storm. We're coming out of a really stunning summer, and summer, it's been warm, it's been dry, and so what often happens is people's asthma subsides, and they can be lulled into a false sense of security, thinking, oh, I haven't got asthma, and so that they drop their meds, they stop taking their preventers, they don't carry around their relievers. And then all of a sudden the weather starts to change, and everything goes really bad really fast, and that's when we see this massive influx of people going into A&E, into the ED departments. Now, right now, we want every New Zealander that doesn't need to be near an ED department away from it.
Yeah.
Because the thing with COVID is that it's a respiratory disease, and it loves anybody that isn't healthy. So you put a set of asthmatic lungs in front of COVID, it's going to go rampant. So we've really got to get people onto their preventers now. They've got to start taking this seriously. And if they aren't on preventers, it's astounding how many people think that they're on asthma medications just simply by carrying around one of these. That's kind of like, grabbing a double espresso when you're running out of energy.
Wow.
It's going to give you a kick.
Yeah.
It's going to help. Yes. And this is what we call reliever.
Yeah.
It relieves, the symptoms. And if you're having an asthma attack, this is what you use. But you don't use that to prevent. And we've got a lot of, one of the, two of the beautiful ladies that were in that class with us, that's all they use.
Yeah.
You imagine, loading up on 10 double espressos every day.
Well,
it's not going to end well.
I don't need to imagine that, but
yeah, well, we did go through a few that day.
Yeah, well, it's just like we say when we start with people that might be type 2 diabetic, and they're moving and they're eating right, and they might just decide to stop their medication because they're feeling better, without getting their going to their doctor and sorting that out first, and then all of a sudden they have an attack. So I think the moral of that story is don't go off your meds unless you're told to by the doctor, and you make sure you consult your professionals.
Yeah, and this is where I'm going to say, one thing that we do know, our asthma nurses work alongside, a lot of patients, and when they are alongside them, we keep 87% of our patients out of hospital.
Wow.
We've got 67% of them that decrease the use of this and go on to preventer medicine and live really well.
Yeah.
So, education's key. Self-management is absolutely key. So, how we use our medicine is priority.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. Also, I'm actually learning a lot of stuff now, so that's awesome. So the next question is, we sort of answered it. What part does exercise and diet play with asthma? Have we answered that, or we want to?
Yeah, look, I think, we can't underestimate diet.
Yeah.
We certainly can't underestimate diet. There's certainly some diets that are not helpful, especially given that 60% of asthma is triggered by allergies. So, we've got a lot of our folks that have allergies, and if they haven't had them tested, if they don't know what it is, that can be a trigger. So, it's just why it's, being aware and, look, a good, clean, healthy, fresh diet like you guys were dishing out that day.
Yeah.
I think you're probably heading down a safer route than all the processed stuff that we've got, just warming our society.
You know what we need to say? I think it needs to be official, coming from Asthma New Zealand. You need to make this official, that KFC and other takeaways will spark asthma.
There's a really naughty little part of me that wants to agree there.
I wish people were
absolutely. But I think, you know, I'd get into a heck of a lot of trouble right now. Yeah.
Yeah, why is no one allergic to KFC? I wonder. The next question we've got is, it's a good one. Is asthma curable?
Yeah. We would so love to say yes to that question. No, it's not. No, it's not curable, you know, but here's the thing is that what we do know is that you can live a full life with asthma. There is, you know, in New Zealand, it drives us nuts in that the prevailing attitude towards asthma is that you suffer from it.
Mm.
And as long as that's the prevailing attitude, then folks will suffer from it. You know, you don't need to suffer from it. You know, I think it was at the Sochi Winter Olympics, you know, a few years ago, there were more asthmatic athletes that won medals than non-asthmatic.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, so, you know, the likes of Mike Tyson and Pink, and, you know, we've got Eminem, you know,
really?
Dennis Rodman, all those guys got asthma. It hasn't stopped them, you know, and I think we make too, yeah, you know, we want it to be cured, or we don't want to own it.
Yeah.
And I think the other myth, Dave, that really gets us, and I hear it all the time, and I have to be a little bit careful because I don't want to, you know, wreck hope, but you don't grow out of it.
Yeah.
You don't grow out of asthma. Sure, you might not display the symptoms. You might, the triggers, your body may customize itself to the triggers. Yeah. But what we have is we hear from people that go somewhere and all of a sudden they haven't had asthma for decades, and there's the triggers there. And right now, you know, with the Sky City fires, that's what we found. With the Australian bushfires, that's what we found. And now one of the biggest triggers is actually emotions.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people under, you know, in an inordinate amount of stress right now. The stress is insane, you know, for all of us.
Mm.
And so if people are feeling tight through the chest, if breathing has become a problem, if they've got that dry cough, or they've got that sort of phlegmy cough, do think about whether this is asthma or not, because there is more than a chance that it could be, especially if you had it as a child.
Man, that's amazing. Well, before we go to the next question, I'll just get everyone that is watching to share this post, and keep firing your questions through. I'll try to get, there's a lot of them. I'll try to get through to them. Here, I'll
bring up on my end, Dave. There we go.
There we are. Here's one question. Can you see that?
Yeah, so I'm a bad asthmatic, using my inhaler 30 plus times a day and night. Due to relying on inhalers, I became dependent on it, where I started having a panic attack at the first sight of shortness of breath. That Liz. There we go. That's why folks should be involved with BBM. That's it. If there was a testament, my friend, that's it. And that's the difference that you guys are making. You see, you know, Liz's life has just been transformed because of some of the stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, Liz.
Liz.
Your journey is very inspiring, Liz, and you'll be on the project tonight at 7 p.m. BBM is on there. What's another question here? We'll go to another one here. Let's go here. Can you read that one?
Yeah. Yeah, look, you know, here's the thing is that we certainly want to keep them away from A&E. So, you know, we certainly want him to be managing his asthma. If he's not on a preventer now, he needs to get onto a preventer. If he doesn't have an asthma management plan, an asthma management plan is written out by the doctor that says this is how you manage. Please book in with your doctor. They're doing, you know, consulting via the phone. And then once you've got an asthma management plan, if you've got one, give our nurses a call. Now, our nurses then can put them alongside them, and they can they can spend time educating them on how to use his devices. on how to make sure that he's using his inhalers with a spacer. This thing here is critical. It's absolutely critical to anybody with asthma. And, we have been pumping these out the door now since, since we went into level 2. We can't keep up, because all of a sudden people realize how important these are. So, the young man needs to be using his spacer morning and night. He needs to be using his preventer. So, get in touch with us if they need to.
Yeah, well, Tua, we're going to be, Tua's one of our members as well. And
Cool.
We're going to be doing a lot of work once we come out of this lockdown together. So it's all about helping people. But Tua, if you want to know more, just message me and I'll put you in contact with the team here. We got one here. It's like more of a comment. So leaving the window open for cold air doesn't help asthmatic.
No, Renee, definitely not. But here's the thing is we do want you to open your windows, but, choose the warmest part of the day, open the windows, to get that fresh air through for 10, 15 minutes. Here's the thing is that, there's a lot, and that we're going to work on this specifically, in another live session, is talk about how you can make your home as healthy as possible now, so that you can keep it a lot safer than it currently is. But no, you certainly don't want to leave it. The only time you want to open a window is if you don't have extraction fans in the kitchen or the bathroom when you're using them. So if you have a shower and you don't have an extraction fan, open the window so the steam goes out the window. It doesn't settle in and actually move into the rest of the part of the house. If you're cooking, where's the steam going? If you haven't got a range, or if you haven't got an extractor fan, open a window so the steam can go out. You don't want that steam circulating within your house, because it's gonna form mold.
It's funny when you say extractor fans. Back in my parents' previous lives, used to grow a lot of marijuana. We used to have
I hope this is going in the right direction, Dave.
Had a lot of exhaust fans. So it's very important to get the air out.
Yeah.
That's an out. We've all changed now. We're all helping people. Here's another good question here.
Look, I think, here's the thing is that in terms of after a severe asthma attack, one of the things is that what I want to do, Jigga, is get you all to understand your bodies and get into an environment whereby you can push yourself only as hard as it is comfortable. So, in effect, it comes down to you trusting and knowing how you're feeling. If everything within you is saying, I don't think this is a good idea, then don't do it. But, start, as Dave's already, Dave has mentioned this, start slow, a slow walk around the block, and then see, okay, each day, can you cut a minute off that? Can you cut a minute off that? But, go use yourself as your guide. But one thing I want to say is move.
Yeah.
Move. However fast or slow it is, move.
So this question here. Hi, Katheren. Are we entitled to nebulizer due to COVID-19? A friend of mine got one. Oh, this is Marina. I think you talked to her at the HQ. She's also on our show tonight on the project.
Cool. Yeah, hey Marina. In terms of nebulizers, we prefer not to use them, and the hospitals prefer not to use them. In actual fact, there's a lot of aspects in regards to nebulizers that we need to consider. Sure, if there's multiple medicines, that's when nebulizers can be used, or if the asthma attack can't be brought under control. But what we find is that a spacer, one of these things here, whereby you put the inhaler into the end of it like that, and then you breathe through, this thing here is as effective as a nebulizer. These are the new nebulizers now. And so, if you don't have, Marina, nebulizers, give me a call, give us a call. Dave will connect you up. If you don't have spaces, we'll get these spaces out to you. Everybody's got to be using a spacer. If you see how quickly, an inhaler powers out, you can't even see how, you haven't got a chance of breathing that in.
Yeah.
So when you put it into that, it sits within the chamber, and then you can breathe it slowly in and get it into your lungs.
Yeah.
So without one of these, maybe 10% of an inhaler, maybe 10% of the medicine, if your technique's right. Yeah. Use a spacer, and you can get up to 46%. And
do those things cost? What's the cost on those?
No, we send, as everything about Asthma New Zealand's free. All of our nurse education, we'll send these out to you, peak flows to check your breathing. Yeah. We'll send it out. These, hey, look, these are what, a needle is to a diabetic.
Yeah. So anyone who needs one of these, look, let's post it. Maybe after this, I'll get your website. We'll put it up there, and I'm sure people can contact you that way. Any BBM members, contact me. But it's amazing that you say, that everything you're doing is free, just like us. And just like us, you're not government funded, which I found was amazing. So, again, the system's totally broken, but we won't turn into activists on my first episode.
Not on our first, huh?
Here's a good one here. Is the flu vaccine important as well for asthmatics?
Oh, ever so important. So yeah, absolutely, especially right now with COVID being here. But even if the COVID hadn't, it wasn't on our doorstep right now, the flu will go straight to an asthmatic's lungs. Or if you have COPD, which is a chronic obstruction pulmonary disorder, which is very prevalent in New Zealand, certainly with our older population or anybody that's smoked. So the flu injection, and that's why we've got the flu. We've got the flu vaccine clinic being run out of Asthma New Zealand now, is so we can get as many of those high need patients through. Because look, I know I think it was Tua that don't want to take his son to A&E, with all of the illness around. That's why we're running the vaccine clinic out of Asthma New Zealand. We haven't got, well, fingers crossed, we haven't got, people that are coming in here that aren't healthy at the moment. And so people can come here, get the vaccine in the comfort of knowing that it's a sterile, safe environment. So, but yeah, please, if you have asthma, now is not the time to be mucking around and having conversations and debates about vaccines. We've been there and it did not end well. So, we absolutely, the flu vaccine is free for anybody that's on a preventive medication with asthma. Anybody that's over 65, anybody with a chronic health condition, please get in and get that vaccination now.
Also, what's got one here? Jesus, I'll keep them firing through. What about if you're on a powder inhaler? What's the percentage on them?
Look, Hamish, that comes down to technique. And that's where our nurses come into their own, because we've seen a lot of really poor technique with powder inhalers, a lot of people holding them the wrong way, and not breathing correctly. So that's where, one of our nurses, can work with you virtually, using technology these days and work you through that to make sure that you are getting maximum medication.
So maybe as part of, look, we're going to do this ongoing, and we just decided yesterday, it's just that's the way we operate. Okay, we just do it. So that can be something we can do in the coming weeks, days, maybe technique.
Dave. Yeah,
it's technique. Remember that ad infomercial? It's technique. My son was given a turbo inhaler recently. How you've answered that. In comparison to Ventolin and Purified, where would you?
Look, I think, yeah, look, Macy, you know, here's the thing is medication is so personal. And, you know, Ventolin is a rescue medication. It should not be as if you're needing to use your blue inhaler, you're needing to use Ventolin more than twice a week. 2 puffs twice a week, you know, 2 puffs twice a week. You're not managing your asthma well. So, you know, in terms of a turbuhaler, you know, what we're talking about in terms of a turbuhaler, it looks like that. And, you know, we've got a lot of people having a lot of really good results on this. And saying that, we've also got some people that this doesn't work for. So I think, you know, it's about really, you know, taking control of your own asthma. And realizing that it's personal. So, you know, yeah, finding medication that works for you.
So, is there a link between hay fever and asthma? I feel weather change is one of a few of my daughter's triggers. Also, is there some sort of asthma specialist in Northland? I'd love to learn more about it now.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So yes, there is. Yes. You know, certainly that can be a trigger for asthma. You know, and when the weather changes, yes, because there's definitely there's an increase in triggers. So that's why I'm saying, you know, it's now that's really important to get all of that, you know, get back on the preventers, get all of that stuff in place now, because it takes about a month for preventers to kick in. That's what people don't realize, you know, and the number of people that will say, oh, I feel fine, so I'm not going to use it. Well, you feel fine because you're using the preventer. You know, so in terms of up in Northland, hey, look, we're working with a team up there, but, you know, with technology, we've all just discovered, you know, we're having virtual roasts with our family all around the country now. You know, it's actually working, so we can work with you wherever you are in the country. So we'd love for you to, you know, give us a call. Our nurses will call you and they can do a virtual education session with you. That's easy.
So maybe after this, Katheren, you can pop into the comments and put your website and where people can get a hold of you guys. I think that would be handy. There's just one more here. Brown Butterbean, can you ask on behalf, is it okay for a person with COPD in the late 50s to go for walks, or is it better to just keep following your exercises for from the couch? Well, definitely continue with my from the couch exercises, but what about the walking, Katheren?
Hey, look, you know, I think that what you'll find is that if you continue with, you know, the Butterbean exercises from the couch, you'll get to a point where walking becomes something that you actually want to do. You know, and so, you know, I think, yeah, COPD, of course, is slightly different than asthma, but, you know, we certainly want to encourage you to keep that muscle as strong as possible. So movement is really critical. You know, the irony with COPD is the other thing that's really, really good is singing.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Singing is really powerful, and unfortunately, before COVID came along, we were just starting to put into place some what we call Sing Your Lungs Out. It's an amazing initiative that started down in Porirua, down in Wellington, but we were bringing it up to Auckland. We'll get it here. We'll bring it out to BBM and have Sing Your Lungs out there, eh?
Well, if you need an ambassador for that program, I have been known to belt out a few tunes.
Hey, we need a choir master, Dave. You're it.
I'm not saying in tune. I'm just saying I've busted out a few tunes.
And no judgment, remember?
So I would like to know if I can get a medical not to go in front of the big queues at the supermarket. I'm chronic asthmatic and I'm the only one who is able to do our fortnight grocery top-up. Thank you.
Look, Connie, I'd love to be able to answer that question. I'm not quite sure how that would work. I think the thing that I could suggest, and I know it's a little bit tricky at the moment because, you know, our online shopping environment is just slammed and, you know, it's taking weeks to get your groceries delivered, although I know that they're working super hard to sort that out. And I know that the wait times are coming down every day, you know, as they get more effective at this. So my suggestion would be to see if you can, you know, go online. Can you use, you know, online shopping? Because I completely get what you're saying, Connie. You know, even though they're doing an amazing job in our supermarkets of managing that distance, there are still people that don't get personal space.
we went shopping for the first time in isolation today, and it was quite really surreal and quite scary. You know, just standing in line, a long line, and everyone's spaced apart with masks on, gloves on, and it's just like a movie. And it was quite scary, you know. And there's people on edge, so I can understand with the online, you know. And that's another thing. I'll never go shopping again because I come back with too many snacks. So that's not enough of the actual food we need. Here, we'll make a couple more, eh? This one here.
Dear, I have to be careful with this comment.
Yeah.
Because Karen, for me, that doesn't feel right. It really doesn't. And then who be it for I to question a doctor? But I guess, who be it for I not to question a doctor, to be fair with you. And that's what we're saying is that, we, in working with Butterbean, is so critical because what we want to do is we want to give you the knowledge so that you can actually start to say, hey, that doesn't seem right. And what you've just described to me, I don't, look, there could be other circumstances, so I would be foolish to dismiss what you've just put in front of me. However, it does worry me because Ventolin is not something that should be thrown around, like that.
So maybe again, they can contact you guys and walk through it more thorough.
Absolutely. And our nurses can certainly give you some feedback, to go back to your doctors with. And it's, this is about you. And I just love all these questions. I love, people, really wanting to understand their health because I think, for so long we've been codependent on them, on doctors. We walk in there and they speak a language that we don't understand, and then they want us to take responsibility for it. We don't understand what they're saying, so we just do what they tell us to do, which isn't always the best thing, or we don't do it at all because it doesn't feel right, and then we're still left in a bad health place. Yeah.
We've got this question here. We might wrap it up after this one and we'll do that breathing exercise.
Liz, to answer that question, yes, most definitely. One of the things that all of New Zealand could start to do is learn how to breathe. Dave asked me that question right up front, but, it's astounding. We go into schools too, and we're doing work with young people in terms of breathing. 99% of our children can't breathe properly. And when you consider, oxygen is the fuel that fuels the body. If we're not breathing properly, we can't be living properly. We can't be thinking properly. So yes, we do some amazing work with some amazing practitioners around breathing. And that's going to definitely be, we have to take a holistic approach to this. If medication was going to work, don't you think it would have by now? This is not a one-trick pony. It is about bringing in everything at our disposal, and nature is so super powerful as well in terms of giving us some insight into what we can do. And we shouldn't be as foolish in the future, hopefully, to ignore it.
Well, seeing as she talked about that breathing exercise, is there anything before we do that? Is there anything else you wanted to say about? Any advice you want to give to people, anything you want to finish up? Because I think we should finish up with that breathing exercise to help. Normally we're doing a boot camp at this time, so I think it'd be nice to do a breathing exercise, a breathing camp.
A breathing camp, okay. Yep, I would have to suggest I've not done that before, but I think that there would be a lot of New Zealanders saying that there's a lot that they haven't done in the last 7 days that they've been forced to do, whilst I've done a lot of breathing camps in person, virtually, it's a little bit different, but we'll work through it. I think the big thing to finish off with, Dave, is that, look, nobody should suffer from asthma. If you're not living well, if you can't do everything that your non-asthmatic friends are doing, you need to speak to us. Our nurse, we need to get you living well because it's intolerable. You deserve to live well.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh well, let's get into this. Let's maybe just show us the basics of breathing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All the parents, everyone should take note of this, and it can be something good for us all to do. Well, it's not something, not could be, it is.
Yeah. So I think the big thing that people need to understand is when you breathe the air in through your nose, you want to push it all the way down your airway into your lungs. What we tend to see is when people breathe in, they go like this. And their stomach sucked in, and all the air is sitting in the chest cavity here. The lungs don't reside there, folks. So when you breathe in, it's breathing in through your nose and pushing the air all the way down so your lungs actually expand out. What happens is that when your lungs expand out, it pushes the diaphragm down, and that's what pushes the belly out, because the diaphragm pushes down and the belly's got to move out, because the diaphragm is a really powerful muscle. Okay, so if you breathe, if you're watching yourself, and the best way to do this is stand in front of the mirror. I'm going to say, we have to stand in front of the mirror for so many things, but if you're breathing like this, all you're doing is breathing through the chest. So the really big thing, and we get the kids to do this, lie on the ground, and they've got to push their hands up with their puku. We call it puku breathing, and so they breathe in through their nose, and they've got to push all the air down into their lungs, so their puku pushes up. And then as we push the breath out, the puku is going to contract again. And the diaphragm then moves up, and the diaphragm has a really important role in terms of massaging the other organs in the body as well, to keep them all working effectively. So yeah, it's a nice deep breath out, and it's a nice controlled breath. And for each one of us, our ability to breathe in and hold that breath will differ. Now, what I normally do, especially if I'm wanting to calm myself down, is I breathe in for 4, I hold for 4, and then I breathe out for 4.
All right, well, let's do that. Let's do 5 breaths that way, and you can talk us through it.
All right, okay. So I think the first thing is to be sitting comfortably, be sitting upright, or lie down, folks, if you want to do that. Yeah, lie down.
Lie down and listen to my voice.
Yeah. Hey, so we've got to put your hands on your puku, on your belly, for those, yeah. And so we're going to breathe in through the nose, 2, 3, 4. Your chest is going up, darling. You need to keep your chest down. Hold 2, 3, 4, and then breathe out 2, 3, 4. And then you'll feel that belly go in a bit. And breathe in through the nose, 2, 3, 4. Feel your hands pushing out. Think about the air going all the way down the airway into the lungs, pushing the air in. And then as we push that breath out, breathing out, 2, 3, 4. And breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, push the air out, 2, 3, 4. And so this breath, Dave, in terms of relaxing us in this really heightened sense of panic at the moment, this releases our nervous system, and it allows our body to be able to fight illness. It keeps our immune system high. So coming into this breathing, when you do feel your heart beating too fast, when you are feeling panicky, when I talk to the kids in the primary schools about what they do when they're suffering from anxiety, they all tell me, breathe.
Yeah.
So, hey, those are 9-year-olds telling us all right now we need to breathe, and breathe well.
Yeah, I think that's really useful, because in isolation, those of us with kids, it's very stressful. It's very stressful.
And now that I've just taught you to breathe properly, you're going to keep those shoulders down, yeah?
Yeah. So Mace agrees with me there. Yes. So I think it would be good if we just find a quiet space somewhere in the corner of the house or in the backyard and do that. How long should we do that for if we're doing it as a drill?
Yeah, if we're doing it as a drill, I'm going to say start, hey, look, start with a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
That sounds like a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Try a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
You might need to start off at 30 seconds and work up towards a couple of minutes. And then once you're there, spend a little bit of time. Don't be in a rush to move off the couple of minutes. But once you start to feel comfortable, what you'll find is that in actual fact, you want to go longer. You actually want to spend 5 minutes just, focusing in on that breath,
So it might be good something to do before the kids awaken, before they wake up, go and do it. Otherwise, you'll be breathing. Shut up.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Dave, is get them to do it with you.
Yeah, yes.
Get them to do it with you. Play a game with them, set it up as a game.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's all sorts of things. Next time we catch up, we'll talk about some breathing games that you do with your kids. Because here's the thing: is if we can get them breathing properly now, there will be so many other issues down the track that we can potentially avoid.
Awesome, Katheren. Hey, this has been amazing. Thank you for joining me in my first sort of podcast, the live stream type of thing. Really appreciate all the work, and I'm looking forward to working, collaborating with you guys. An amazing organization. You're an amazing person. So thank you to you and your staff for all the work on the front line that you're doing to keep us safe and keep us healthy at the moment. So thank you very much. And if you can jump in and go to my page and put the website where people can contact you to get these those spaces, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'll do as well is I'll just flick some asthma emergency instructions, and down the track we'll talk about what we do. If we ever face with an asthma emergency, we know what to do if somebody stops breathing in terms of CPR. But the chances are we're going to be with somebody who has an asthma attack probably more than stops breathing.
I think that's really important. That what you just said. What do we do? I think we need to cover that now before we sign off. What do we do if someone has an asthma attack? What do we do? Because I wouldn't know. I'd have no idea.
It just froze there.
Can you hear me? So I think that's an important point. I'd like to finish on that actually. What do we do if someone has an asthma attack? Because I would have no idea, and I think a lot of us wouldn't. So I think it was one of the questions we had written down. What do we do if someone's having an asthma attack?
Well, the very first thing is don't panic. Okay. That you want to calm them down. Please, sit them up. Don't lie them down. Lying them down is the worst position for them. So sit them up. If you haven't got something to prop them up on, use your knees. You want them seated up so that they can open up through the airway. The next thing it is about asking them, okay, where is this blue thing?
Yeah.
Now, where is their inhaler? If they don't have a spacer, and here's the thing: is a lot don't. You're gonna be forced just to use this. Okay, but if they have a spacer with them, you're gonna shake this. Okay, and then you're gonna shake it really hard, because that mixes up the medication with the propellant. Because there's got to be some propellant to get the medication out of this. So by shaking it, it mixes it up. You then stick it into the end of this device. The person's going to put their mouth around this device, and they're going to take in 6 deep breaths. Now, what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to get them to relax that nervous system, because the body's simply responding to something that's triggered it, and the smooth muscles around the airways have contracted. And so what you're wanting to do, and this is what this medication does, is it relaxes the smooth muscle. And so they'll take 6 slow breaths through this device, and then you'll wait for 6 minutes. Okay, well, you'll repeat that. So 6 breaths. You repeat that 36 times.
Wow.
For the first run, yeah. So you basically you'll have given them 6 puffs of this, and they'll have taken 36 breaths. So it's 1 puff, 6 breaths.
Yeah.
shake it out, shake it again. We've got all this written up, and that's what I'm going to post up on your website, yeah, so people know. But here's the thing: is that if a person, and you'll know whether where they're at. If that starts to work, you'll actually see them start to relax.
Yeah.
You'll often see this comes really sucked in an asthma attack. Their lips will go blue, their fingernails will go blue. They'll be hunched over. Okay, you'll see the ribs sucking up. Those are all things to be watching for, so the quicker that you can get that blue Ventolin into them,
yeah,
better for them. But if they don't start to improve, you want to keep doing this and call 111, but keep doing this.
Yeah. So we'll post that. We'll post all of it.
You can't technically, you can't overdose on this. You've got to keep, you're wanting to try and relax that smooth muscle. But the other thing too is just be reassuring, get them to calm down. You can't imagine how frightful it is when you can't start to, when you're losing breath.
Yeah. Awesome, Katheren. We'll post all of these. Anne-Lee will get in contact with you and get all these details, and we'll post it up on our website. We'll post it up all on our social. But this is only the beginning, team. Okay, this is only the beginning of a great relationship with BBM and Asthma New Zealand to help the people. That's all it's about, helping people. Both unfunded by the government, and we're going to make that. We're not inhibited by the government. We just do things for the people. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Where there's a will, there's a way, and we've got the will. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Katheren. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's been really, really cool being on here tonight. So, yeah, thank you.
No worries, sis. See you later. All right, team. I think that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. So we're going to do a lot more of these. So don't forget, 7 o'clock tonight on TV3, we've got The Project. And then, which is our BBM programs on The Project. And then also tomorrow morning in BBM Motivation, we've got at 8:30, Vanessa's going live with a workout. And then also we've got Conga at 10 a.m. Sorry, no, at 6:30 p.m. We've got a whole bunch of stuff happening. Go check out my website, thebbmprogram.com. BBM all day. It's all about the people, helping the people. I hope you enjoyed this. So much love, everyone. The Project, tune in, and we'll catch you all soon.